All right, good deal. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming out today. We ask that you join us today to talk about last year's crime report, and we will get to that in a second. But first, let's talk about this weekend's snow events. I wanted to make sure that we go over just a few of those highlights. I wanted to really thank the team, all of the team here at the City of Atlanta, the employees and our partners. All those people really worked tirelessly to ensure that our residents could safely return to their normal lives, back to work and school this morning. A special thank you to the men and women of the ATL DOT department, Commissioner Cavanis and his team, for all the salt and brine and plowing work that they did to make sure that the roadways were clear in conjunction with Georgia Department of Transportation, the governor's office, Georgia Power, and of course the mayor's office of emergency preparedness, and so many of our departments and teams, including Grady and Fulton County. Their dedication ensured that our roads were prepared for ice and snow so that people could travel today. And dozens of us were together in our Joint Operations Center for about 50 hours over 2.5 days, from 8 o'clock Thursday night to midnight Sunday, coordinating efforts to address challenges and prioritize the safety of our residents. We opened 4 warming centers to protect our most vulnerable residents, those experiencing homelessness. We accommodated more than 400 people with warm meals, beds, and essential services. We basically utilized our resources with Fulton County, our Partners for Home, Office of Constituent Services, as well as the HOPE team at the APD. Watershed repaired a number of water main breaks, 28 incidents, and they all were recovered very quickly during this snow event. And again, ATL DOT treated 100% of our priority roads, bridges, and critical infrastructure. So this weekend went very well. We had more snowfall this weekend than we did in 2014, but the response was significantly different. We were more coordinated, more prepared, and we communicated better. And so when I say one safe city, it's about all of the above. This reminds us that this is not just about crime and policing, but it's also about the overall public safety and well-being of our residents. When I took office, our top priority, as I stated, was to make Atlanta the safest large metropolitan city in America, and we are well on that path. We're making significant improvements in all categories of safety, whether that's crime, you'll hear about that today, but even with pedestrians, cyclists, etc. And so when I say one safe city, it is demonstrated when Atlanta Fire Rescue responds to tens of thousands of calls that aren't even fire related. Many of the calls they took in 2024 were health-related services, demonstrating their commitment to protecting the lives of our citizens. One Safe City is about the 22% fewer lives lost due to fire in 2024 than previous years. That's a testament to our firefighters, their readiness, their equipment, their training, and improved fire prevention. It's about residents feeling confident in our emergency response system, with 911 dispatchers cutting their answer time in half this year. And I know Chief is going to talk more about that. This is ensuring that help arrives faster. One Safe City is about responding to emergencies, but it is also about prevention and preparedness. And building the city that we love is where residents feel secure in their homes, on their streets, at their nightlife, and in their parks and in their community. Training plays a role in that, which is why I'm happy that we have finished construction on the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center and are now moving in so that firefighters, police officers, EMS can be prepared to even be better at servicing our public. We are here today to shine a light on some of the great work that is being done by the people whose jobs are in some fashion or form connected to keeping people safe in this city. You see a number of representatives here, and each of them will speak, and there's people behind us and all throughout the city that are coordinating with us. That is APD, Atlanta Fire Rescue, our district attorney, Fani Willis, who has been extremely capable and a great partner to our administration. We have community organizations that are represented here, and we've got representatives from a number of the City of Atlanta offices, from the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction to our Labor Department to individuals responsible for our Year of the Youth. And you will hear specifics from Chief Shearbaum in a minute. But the bottom line is crime is down in Atlanta, particularly homicides are down. once again this year in Atlanta. Chief Shearbaum will also address the outstanding improvements of our E911 operations, and I want to specifically mention our Make the Right Call campaign that has helped residents better understand how and where to direct non-emergency calls, 311 versus 911. So I'd like to bring up Chief Shearbaum now, who can speak more to how safe we were in 2024. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank the mayor for making public safety the cornerstone of his administration, and that has not only been supporting the Atlanta Police Department, but making sure everyone knows they have a role in keeping the city safe. While individuals that are sworn to protect and carry guns and badges are key to that, they cannot do it alone, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate you making Atlanta a group project. I want to acknowledge our Chief Operating Officer for being here today, for her work all through the weekend with the mayor on the snow, and then our district attorney that is present, and many, many of our law enforcement partners who help us keep the city safe, from street racing to gun violence to property crimes, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, the Georgia State Patrol, the Attorney General's Office, the FBI, the ATF, and the GBI. Those are great partners. We also have a lot of community members here as well, because the community knows what their police department knows, that the three best crime fighters is always going to be education, economic opportunity, and a stable home life. And we want to thank everyone that doesn't wear a uniform that comes to work each and every day to keep the city safe. And then the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department, who have worked very, very hard this year, reducing crime, building trust with the community, while they protected over 40 visits from various candidates and rallies and debates here in our city, while they protected multiple protests, protected the training center, made sure the peach drop was safe, and made sure that they were present in Hurricane Helene as that tropical storm hit our city. I've been impressed with them each and every day, our civilian and sworn members who are hard at work doing what you expect them to do with their police department. And that work and the work of the partners pay dividends. As the mayor referenced, we've seen our second year in reduction in crimes against persons in our city. Overall crime in Atlanta is down 5% over the previous year, 8% reduction in crimes against persons, and a 5% reduction in crimes against property. I want to share some statistics with you. The number one reduced area of crime in our city last year was vehicle thefts, 29% down over the previous year. If you look at robberies were down 15% from the previous year, but a 28% reduction from 2022. Persons shot in our city down 7%, but a 19% reduction since 2022. And the area that we are very, very proud of is our reduction in homicides. For a second year in a row, homicides reduced this last year 8%, but a 26% reduction of individuals losing their lives in Atlanta, Georgia since 2022. How does that take place? It is the group project our mayor calls for and refers to. But last year, your police department and the law enforcement partners sitting behind us removed 3,137 firearms from the streets of Atlanta, many of them being possessed by felons and gang members. Every 5 days, the Atlanta Police Department shut down a drug dealing operation in this city. 73 separate drug dealing operations were shut down, ticking time bombs in neighborhoods of this city. That they were not shut down, gun violence would have presented itself. And then, Madam DA, 126 individuals were charged with a gang charge, many of them multiple times, as we follow in your leadership on fighting gang violence in our city. This is only done with our partnerships from the various state and regional entities that I just mentioned. But our homicide clearance rate, last year the number one reason an individual lost their life in the city in homicide was escalating dispute over a parking space, an unpaid bill, a fight over a phone. Second reason was domestic violence, which we've been tackling very hard through the mayor's No More campaign. But the clearance rate of the Atlanta Police Department's homicides in 2024 was 78.5%. 78.5% of the homicides committed in our city were solved, and that's against the national average of 54%. How was that done? Community trust. That when our investigators go out and knock doors, the citizens speak to them, collaborate with them. It's the technology advancements that our mayor has given to our city, where we have camera infrastructures throughout the city that assist us. It's those that call Crime Stoppers. We want to thank the community for always partnering with our hardworking homicide detectives to make sure we bring closure to our families. And it wasn't just in the area of crime fighting, but the E911 Center, as the mayor referenced, saw significant improvements. In 2023, the average answer time in our 911 center was 24.3 seconds. Last year, it was 12.5 seconds. And that is with the men and women of our E911 Center answering 1,277,553 calls. as citizens of this city reached out and said they needed their fire department, they needed their police department, they needed their EMS. So I want to commend the work that's been there through advancing our training, process improvement, technology investments, as well as growing the staff of the E911 Center to make sure that the first responders are quickly available to our citizens. But we didn't just improve in the area of crime stats, reducing in 911 answer times. The police department is growing. For the first time since October of 2021, this department now has more than 1,700 officers on it, or individuals in training. That, Mr. Mayor, is because you've invested in the men and women that put on the uniform and our civilians that go out and do the difficult and the dangerous for our city. You've invested in pay and in pension. You have committed to build the public training center, and you did, and you invested in the Take Home Co program. And that has been showing dividends of individuals joining our department and staying with the department. But I want to thank you for what you did that didn't cost you a dime. That was when you stood at the bedside of officers of this city who had been shot in the line of duty. That is when you called them and checked on them. That is when you go to roll calls when you don't have to say thank you. And when the men and women are ethical and constitutional and do what's right, you stand behind them, because this is a difficult job. And I'm proud of everyone that does the job of the Atlanta police officer. And thank you, Mayor, for standing behind them. And in addition to our sworn personnel, we added a new CARES unit. When you leave, take a picture as you go. You may have seen it in the snow this weekend. These are the black and green trucks that are out. These are civilian members, just like the state's HERO unit, that are providing key assistance to citizens who call 911. Since they've been in service since July, they've responded to 2,367 calls and completed 1,608 reports. That if it were not for them, a sworn officer would have been dispatched to it and the citizen would have had to wait longer. Another investment of our mayor this year to make sure that we are a safe city. Here's what we need from the community. We need you to please continue to, when you see something, say something. Call Crime Stoppers. Please continue to register your cameras with Connect Atlanta. We currently have 22,000 cameras registered and 20,000 integrated. Join the Mayor's No More campaign. We saw in the second half of the year the domestic violence homicides starting to drop because of the No More campaign. We need you to know who is in a dangerous and toxic relationship and help them get out of there. And put down your weapons. Be a peacemaker in your community. Be a peacemaker in your family. In just a few minutes, we're going to announce who won the Crime Reduction Award. You all are some great journalists I see around. You've probably already deduced who has won the Crime Reduction Award. But we're going to let there be a little bit of anticipation when we recognize the zone with the best reduction. And it's my privilege now to turn over to the podium our District Attorney, Fani Willis.
Good morning and Happy New Year.
Good morning.
I am here to thank Mayor Dickens this morning. Your appointment of Chief Shearbaum, I have told you over and over again, it has been one of the greatest things you've done during your administration, because he has been an amazing partner with the District Attorney's Office. But I also want to recognize Chief Operating Officer LaShondra Burks and Teresa Austin Gibbons, who directs the Mayor's Youth Summer Employment Program. Those things are important because you and I have had discussions many times that it is not just about locking up the bad guys, but making sure that our children have opportunities. I am especially excited this morning that you have brought the great director, Gary Davis, here of Next Level Boys Academy. Me and him have history. We go back to my days as an assistant district attorney, and in fact, I can remember the time that he came into my office asking that a young man who was charged with armed robbery be given a second opportunity. And if he was given that opportunity, watch through the work of his program, him change that young man's life around. And so we took a chance on one young man, and over the years, that has now become in excess of 1,000 young men doing the right thing, not the wrong thing. And so to have him here today is a very important gesture. It really is a great program that gives our children great opportunity. The statistics that you're hearing about today, I don't want you to get lost. You're journalists and people get caught up in the numbers. Those are lives saved. Last year we lost 44 less people than the year before. That's 44 less mamas that had to bury their children. We should never lose sight of what these crime reductions mean. It's hundreds of less people that were victimized, on the other side of a gun or violence of some kind, taking their property. These are actual human beings that now are not facing trauma that they have to deal with for the rest of their lives. And this because of the initiatives of you, Chief Shearbaum, and certainly you, Mayor, by appointing this great man in this great office. But we've done it in a very strategic way. The first thing that we used in strategy was just working together. That seemed something pretty simplistic, right? The district attorney's office, community organizations, and the police department working together. But not very many years ago, those things were in complete dysfunction. And so I enjoy this friendship now to solve crime and to make our safer city. What you need to understand is over the past year, we have charged over 300 gang members. That effort has been a multiplier because we are removing the worst repeat offenders from our community. And we've done that in combination with the City of Atlanta Police Department by making sure that the officers are better trained, by making sure the attorneys are better trained. We've also worked with the Atlanta Police Foundation to invigorate our tracking unit to make sure that our judges know who the repeat offenders are, because no one should get the idea that all young men are bad or all young men of color are bad. What we find when we look at the statistics is it's the same people committing crime over and over again. And if we can remove this very small segment for our society, the rest of the community can thrive by having programs like Gary Davis's Next Level Boys Academy. We also, not just taking a tough stance on gang members and looking at repeat offenders, but my office has done something, which has created the first ever pre-indictment diversion program so that those in our community that make small mistakes are not derailed for the rest of their lives, but in fact can get back on their feet and become productive members of society. Also, the REACH program run through the Fulton County DA's office shows children that gang members shouldn't be your heroes. Your heroes need to be people in the press, people that are in law enforcement, bankers, and great community leaders. Those are the people that we need you to look up to, and those are the people that you can actually become. But I have to mention today to you that while we are on a great trajectory to do more great things, the district attorney's office sits very concerned. And I would urge people, while I have this audience, to call your county commissioners while they are voting on their budget to make sure that law enforcement gets the dollars they need to do this work. Because the reality is, if the district attorney's office does not have the right amount of attorneys, the right amount of investigators, we cannot continue to excel and to make progress for our city. We cannot continue to enjoy a safe city. And so it requires not just a great partnership with the mayor and the City of Atlanta Police Department, but we need a partnership to begin with the Fulton County Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam DA Fani Willis, and thank you, Chief Shearbaum, for your update on the crime stats and our partnership together with Fulton County, as well as all the other teams that are behind us. As you've heard, the GBI, Georgia State Patrol, ATF, the FBI, and a number of other alphabets that are back there. If I missed one, pardon me, I think the Chief covered them all. But we have these great relationships and partnerships. And thank you, Chief, for highlighting the CARES unit and the take-home car programs. Even in the snow, you think about officers being able to have a car right there to be able to get to work versus driving their personal vehicle or not being able to drive their personal vehicle because it's not good for the snow. And so it is not lost on me that creating one safe city includes and requires a whole village. That's why we have some partners joining us this morning. It's not just law enforcement that has a part to play here. We have worked hard on non-policing activities and alternatives, including violence reduction initiatives. There's one other non-policing initiative that is relatively new, but we are seeing early benefits from it. That is our Park Rangers program. You'll see those vehicles parked out front too. This team is currently patrolling routes in parks and along the Atlanta Beltline. So far, these Rangers have been able to focus on crime prevention and recognizing possible problematic encounters. Ultimately, we hope this program will help reduce calls to 911 when it comes to addressing quality of life and park code issues. And the results so far are looking really good. Atlanta Fire Rescue has also played a vital role in this reduction of violence and promoting public safety in the city. The new Safe Spots program is a fire rescue initiative that offers people a safe place to go if they are experiencing violence. All of the city's fire stations are safe havens, especially for anyone facing domestic violence. This is in conjunction with our No More campaign, No More Domestic Violence. And that's an important message we want the community to be aware of. Anyone fleeing violence can seek assistance with a police officer or at the fire station. And so we've seen that there is a direct correlation between some of the decreases that we've seen in crimes and our work to create constructive opportunities for our young people. Last year, 2024, was also the year of the youth in the city of Atlanta. So successful community-based programs like Midnight Basketball and Next Level Boys Academy, they really make a difference, as well as our Summer Youth Employment Program. They play a significant part. And so we'll hear more about these programs in a second, but first, we'll hear from our Chief Operating Officer, LaShondra Burks. Chandra?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, and good morning. You've heard the mayor talk about from policing and non-policing our efforts. And so we are excited about all the things that we have done from a non-policing standpoint. Under Mayor Dickens' leadership, to include, you heard him say, Midnight Basketball, pre-arrest diversion services, our Year of the Youth, our school break safe spaces, the city's nightlife division, Summer Youth Employment, which you'll hear about shortly, and Atlanta's first ever Center for Diversion and Services. And there's also the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction, which serves as the city's staff resource for violence reduction and community-based intervention, and coordinates a comprehensive effort to reduce violence, especially with guns. This office has contracted with 2 nonprofit organizations who have used the Cure Violence model in order to bring down violence in the city. Specifically, the Zone 4 and Zone 1 are the spaces that we have worked in. Zone 4 has been managed by Chris 180. We have seen 112 violence interruptions in Zone 4 in the year of 2024. Individuals involved in conflict, we know, as Madam DA said, we're majority male, but we have had 39 participants to enroll and make the decision to say, I no longer want to be a part of this violence. I want help. I want support. And what we don't always realize is the impact of some of these community organizations on how they are able to prevent crimes. And so you hear from our police side the number of crimes that we have, but we don't often hear about the numbers that were prevented as a result of these organizations. The second one, Offender Alumni Association, which is in Zone 1, they have interrupted and prevented 41 incidents of gang and gun violence. 38 of the incidents were resolved with no retaliation, shootings, or deaths. They have also done what we call a safe passage program. A lot of times we see violence right when school lets out. They have partnered with Washington High School. You can see them along the corridors talking to students who are walking to the Ashby train station to make sure that they get from the school to the train station and then to home safely. You would be amazed at the violence that could happen or that used to happen in that short walk from school all the way to Ashby train station. The other place is Mays High School. They have been working very intently, canvassing right after school, engaging youth, giving out snacks, and we have seen 0 fights right outside of Mays High School in the year of 2024 as a result of their engagement. So I always want to say we appreciate our community partners, the work that they do from a non-policing standpoint, being very specific to the Cure Violence model. We do a lot of training with them. And because of the success that we have had in Zones 1 and Zone 4, we have also partnered with the Offender Alumni Association that whenever we have a citywide shooting, they go to the scene, they work with individuals to make sure that we prevent retaliation and so that we don't have another unfortunate shooting or death in our city. And with that, Mayor, I think I will turn it over to, back to you.
No. You give
We're going to Next Level Academy. We're going to Next Level. We're going up another notch with Gary. All right. Come on, Gary.
It's good to see you. Good morning. My name is Gary Davis. I'm the founder, executive director of the Next Level Boys Academy, which is an intensive mentoring organization for youth and young adult males. Now, we have to be living under a rock not to acknowledge or understand that we have issues with our young people in the city. And one of the many unique things that we could thank Mayor Dickens for is that when he created the ATL Youth Year of the Youth, he understood that there was going to be that population of young men that needed that extra level of supervision, that extra level of support, and also consistency. And he created an opportunity for us at Pittman Park where we have an opportunity to mentor that group that's probably making the news. In these mentoring sessions, we've created a safe space for young men to be themselves. And we have the ability to tap into some of this gang intervention, gang prevention for these young men. And many of us know that all it takes is for someone to care. I was speaking with one of the chiefs of the Atlanta Fire Department this morning. He gave me a very unique story about how he got to where he was in life today. And the thing that I got out of that is that someone really cared. And that is what we do at Next Level Boys Academy. I also want to thank Madam Fani Willis, who created an opportunity for young men out of her office because she understood that we cannot prosecute our way through the issues that we have with young men. So at Next Level Boys Academy, we do life skills, social skills, job readiness, professional development, giving these young men opportunities that they never had. And but the most important thing that we do, and that I spent a great number of hours on in 2024, is conflict resolution. If you know how to deal with an issue, you'll do better. So I want to thank Mayor Dickens and his great administration for giving us this opportunity, and we look forward to doing more work with you all. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Theresa Austin Gibbons, the Interim Commissioner for the Atlanta Department of Labor. And Mayor Dickens, I have 2 students from the SYAP Summer Program I'd like to recognize. Miss Madison Brownlee, she is a senior at Douglas High School, and she will be headed to a HBCU this fall. She was in Time to Give and Mimic this summer, as well as Mr. Kevin Scott, who is a freshman at Morehouse and was an intern in the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction. I'm excited today to join you and share the Mayor's vision for the Labor and Employment Services, how they have positively contributed not only to improved employment and labor services, but just as important, citywide public safety improvements. The City of Atlanta's Department of Labor and Employment Services is dedicated to empowering individuals, employers, and communities by delivering comprehensive workforce services and labor relations, and by matching employers with skilled workers they need to compete globally. One of our most impactful initiatives is the Summer Youth Employment Program, better known as SYEP. In 2024, this program engaged over 5,000 young Atlantans, reducing youth crime by 23%. Arrests among 14 to 17-year-olds dropped by nearly 200. Crimes among 18 to 24-year-olds decreased by 25%. And violent crimes fell by 46%. These results highlight how structured, purpose-driven programs provide positive alternatives for our youth and help build a safer future for all. We often hear from our mayor and the challenge he has given us on the group project and a whole government to give more and do more. That's why we have launched partnerships to improve these results, including partnerships with the Annie E. Casey Foundation and the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, aimed at further equipping Atlanta's youth with skills, mentorships, and paid internships needed to secure meaningful careers. These collaborations are not just about job creation, they're about building a city where every resident feels safe, supported, and empowered. Atlanta Department of Labor and Employment Services remains committed to breaking barriers, fostering economic mobility, and assisting with the vision that the Atlanta truly becomes one safe city. The success of our young people, like Kevin Scott Jr., who joined us this summer at the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction, and Madison Brownlee, who participated in the STEAM program through a time to give this summer, serve as a foundation of a stronger, safer community, and we are proud to be a part of the administration's transformative work. Thank you, Mayor Dickens, for your visionary leadership and unwavering commitment, and to our partners for their steadfast support and collaboration in bringing the vision to life. Together, we are reducing crime, transforming lives, and building a brighter tomorrow for all Atlantans. Thank you.
All right. So you've heard it here. Hand this to you. You've heard it here that this is a group project. This requires the whole of government and our partners, those that are here today and those that may not have been here today. There's the GBI as well as the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and others that had other things that they had to do right now, but they were definitely partners throughout this time. And so, Chief, if you come closer to the mic, as we're about to present the award to the zone that saw the greatest reduction in crime. I want our council member for this area to come up too. Oh, there you are. Hey, right on time. Councilmember Winston, thank you for your leadership. Again, it takes all of us doing this together, so thank you, City Council. So now, Chief, I'll let you announce who was the zone that had the greatest reduction.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, we have 6 zones across the city of Atlanta. Each year we recognize the zones that has had the best reduction over the previous year. 2 years ago it was Zone 2, last year it was Zone 1. But this year we have a new winner on the block, the zone that saw a 23% reduction in overall crime from the previous year, a 19% reduction in crimes against persons, and a 24% reduction in crimes against properties, none other than Zone 3.
All right.
So if you're Zone 3 is led by Major Ricker and Captain Pettis, and then just an incredible group of individuals that show up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep Zone 3 safe. And so I hope every neighborhood president, neighborhood watch looks for great pride, stops by and congratulates Zone 3. And thank you, Mayor, for giving us the tools we need to make sure we deliver on that commitment to Zone 3.
Good deal.
Right, congratulations, sir.
You want to say anything, Major?
The only thing I like to say is obviously it's a group effort. I think everyone here has mentioned who takes part in that, but there's a big shout out to the community who partners with us and actually supplies us with the information we need to hold people accountable who are doing wrong. So, thank you.
We'll go to Q&A in a second, but we got to take a photo of this crime reduction award.
Everybody can see and we got
You got it? Oh, yeah, come on up.
Garmin. Garmin. Smith, hang to the back. I want your forms on hand. Y'all got to be tight.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, everybody get a shot. Thank you.
Get their shot. All right.
Thank y'all.
We're going to move the questions and get answered.
Thank you.
We'll start on this side. Congratulations, We'll start on this side. One question, please remember that the questions are related to today's press conference. If you have questions related to CFP or any other topic, you know how to contact us, and we will have a CFP press conference on tomorrow.
Did I just get closer?
We just like to hear from Zone 3, what do they think really made a difference in reducing that crime? No doubt you've been trying this for many years.
All right, come on up, Zone 3. Tell us what.
Well, like I said, it's a partnership with the community. I think we've used technology to our usefulness to bring that crime down. We have a lot of dedicated officers that work out of there that their main goal every day is to keep that area safe. And obviously they've done a really good job this year of doing that. That's our whole goal every day, is to make sure that citizens don't have to deal with people out there who are looking to do them harm.
When you say technology, specifically what technology?
So,
There was discussion over giving youth opportunities and employment specifically. Is that something that you implemented in your zone?
well, it's something obviously that comes from the mayor's office. That helps, along with everybody else that wants to, put a helping hand in there, from Cure Violence that goes out on these scenes to getting people jobs that need them. All of that works together.
You wanted to talk about the job programs?
Yeah, can you expand a little bit more on that non-policing effectiveness and how you think that might expand?
Yeah, absolutely. As the Major said, any part of fighting crime also involves making sure that people have employment as well as education. And so we created this summer youth employment program where we've expanded it to include businesses, nonprofits, as well as city departments and offices. So we had over 5,000 young people between the ages of 14 and 24 to be employed, and they make $15 an hour and up. And the average came out to be about $17 an hour. That kept people so busy during the summer that they were able to enjoy the money they were making, and they were learning while they earned. So when they're busy doing those things, they're unlikely to show up in the Major's crime stats.
It was mentioned that some of the causes of these homicides, actually one of the main causes, was disputes that kind of escalated. Obviously, when dealing with youth, there are some solutions at play. But if we're talking about adults, is there a way that the city can intervene? I know this has come up a few years in a row here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So a lot of the things we're doing around the Year of the Youth is reducing violence with Gary at Next Level Boys Academy, as well as the Year of the Youth and the Summer Youth Employment. All of that, Parks and Recs, is helping our youth crime stats go down. But adults are still part of the problem. People that can't de-escalate a situation, these escalated disputes, these domestic violence cases, sometimes they're happening inside the home, inside the apartment, inside the business. It's very difficult for police to be able to do that, to deal with that. So that requires the community to continue to put out the message. The No More campaign is about reducing community violence through you see something, say something, articulate that you have trauma at home. And then the other escalating disputes, that has been addressed through a lot of the non-policing activities, making sure that people, our work in the community around Cure Violence, the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction, these teams that go out to anti-retaliation. Somebody stepped on your shoe, you got into a fight, you don't have to shoot each other later that day or next week. To diffuse escalated disputes is something that we're keen on and working on consistently and throughout every single zone in the city of Atlanta. It's paying off dividends, but I mean, sure, we are working hard on youth, but there's still grown folks out here that need to get their act together and stop some of the things that have led to violence in our city. Oh, I also point out one other thing. Another part of escalating disputes that we've gotten a hold of is our nightlife. If you recall, back in 2020, 2021, you had a lot of nightlife violence. And so when I came in as mayor, we started the nightlife division and the nightlife advisory council, where we go to the nightlife and train them how to resolve conflicts, how to settle disputes, and how to make sure that you de-escalate issues and have proper protections. We've seen a reduction in nightlife crime for sure, but one is one too many, and we definitely know that we can do better and consistently improve. Who's next? Okay.
So, if these arrests or these programs are working, do you intensify these efforts in 2025? Are there other things you all are working on to basically add a force multiplier to what has already been proven to work in reducing crime?
Great question. We are not made of money. So these programs cost money, they cost partnerships, they require partnerships, which is why we created the Year of the Youth and these nonprofit grants that we have been giving out or supporting nonprofits. We don't have an infinite source of money, so I can't say that we're going to be able to put some exact number more towards it, but what I can say is that we are going to continue to be more coordinated, working with nonprofits that work, that do a good job. If they're serving 100 youth, we want them to serve 120 youth, and how can we do that? If they serve 200 youth, how do we help them serve 300 youth? The other thing that we're doing, though, that's going to be you'll hear about this a lot more. We've already started, but it's going to be even more, is focusing on neighborhoods. How to make a whole, healthy neighborhood. When a neighborhood stable and the households within the neighborhoods are stable, you'll be able to see that the community response far outweighs what you need with police responses and other things. If the neighbors and the community members and the households are sturdy and strong, they're not looking for their next apartment because they can't afford the apartments in the city of Atlanta, so they're always transient. So the school problems occur because there's a new kid in the school every single day. If you can stabilize these communities, if you can stabilize the small businesses, if you can stabilize the parks and rec programs, then you have a consistent, a healthy neighborhood where there's a bank, a grocery store, fresh food. All those things make the neighborhood environment safer, and the environment will help do the work with us and for us, and it just doesn't require a gun, a badge, or anybody's intervention. It'll self-regulate, and that's part of the ultimate goal that we'll be getting to this year.
So I don't know if the mayor can answer this, or the chief can answer it.
It's the chief. If any answer, it's the chief. I didn't answer no. No, I'm just kidding.
The last couple of years, one of the biggest clashes out of that, especially with Kias and Hyundais. How have you guys been able to reduce that and work with those companies to reduce that?
That's a good question, Chief.
Yeah, it was our largest reduction percent-wise across the city was Carthage. A couple things. Was a big effort to educate the community about what they can do to keep their vehicles from being stolen. The mayor brought into the city actually pop-up shops where people could bring their cars to get the patch put on so they could not be susceptible to thefts. We handed out clubs throughout the city wherever opportunity we had to make sure citizens had that ability to keep their vehicle to themselves. And then we arrested people, and we put them in the district attorney's courtroom, and we asked judges to take note. And we asked them to take note who needed help to be steered out of a life of crime and who needed to be held accountable. So I think it was all of those things coming together. Education, focused effort of getting individuals that were stealing cars for profit and then prosecuting them in the courtroom.
So for us, it's camera systems, and that goes for the ones that the city has, but also what the community has. And then the whole see something, say something part of it. You know, we get a lot better chance of solving crimes when the community is involved, and they're the ones that are supplying the extra photos or videos of when cars are broken into, when homes are broken into, that give us a much better chance of solving those crimes. So it's made a huge difference for us.
Yes, I had a question. This might be for DA Willis or anyone up there, but arrest, prosecution, one thing, right? Conviction is another, as we've seen in previous criminal trials, including gang trials. So what do you tell people still fearful that while we are seeing a reduction in crime, maybe in their neighborhood or their backyard, crime is not done away with altogether?
Crime is not done away with altogether. I think that's a true statement and probably a realistic statement for life. But the reality is, because the cases are better, when you hear the mayor talk about getting the cameras, not only from the cameras the city has provided, but getting the cameras from what the neighbors have provided, it makes for better prosecutions. The fact that the officers are now trained on how to put together a gang case, it makes for better prosecutions. We are at about a 90% conviction rate across different types of crimes. That's homicides, that's sexual assaults, which is really unheard of in the country. But we can't take the credit. We like to take the credit as a DA's office all by ourselves, but the reason we're able to do that is because we're requiring better cases from the start. And this chief, I just can't say enough good things about him. A lot of people operate in ego, and they operate in not wanting to get better and not wanting to get more advanced, but he is someone that has asked, okay, if our officers aren't doing a good job, can you bring us in for training? Can we see how to do it? Can we implement new policies, new rules? One of the areas that we're both frustrated in, and we've talked about, are domestic violence cases. So early on last year, we talked about a new method for tickets and the way that officers could record information so we could have better prosecutions in our domestic violence cases. It really is a group project, and us listening to each other of how do we get better for the community to keep us safer? So I think the community should take a lot of pride in the fact that, you hear all over the country crime is down, right? Not like in Atlanta. Here it's down in the double digits. In other cities, you're talking about 3, 4, 5%. We're talking about 19, 22, 26%. And I think the community can feel that things are getting better, but they're far from perfect. I think that we would all agree that they are far from perfect. These youth initiatives, that is not just talk. It's funny that we sit in Zone 3. I cannot tell you as a murder prosecutor how many cases I came and tried right out of Newtown Circle, which is up the street, or Thomasville, or violent crimes, maybe not a homicide, but someone being shot. I'm very familiar with where I stand because of my 20-year history, but our youth are hungry for opportunities. And so I think that this is an opportunity for the community to try to get involved to give our youth opportunities. When we started the REACH program 3 years ago, we had 140 students. That's all that enrolled over the Fulton County public school system. We're now over 500. We can't keep up with the capacity or the demand for them to have other opportunities. And so we definitely need these budgets financed in a proper way so that we can provide them with opportunities. But we need the community and nonprofits like Gary Davis' program and other programs involved. And he needs to be funded so he can do the work, so we can help our youth. Because they do want to do other things, and they are so capable of putting us all out of our jobs if we just show them the way.
So, of course, when you guys arrest people who commit crimes, they most likely end up at the Rice Street Jail, Fulton County Jail. How are you guys helping out the sheriff's office with this, fixing the jail and helping him before coming out and all that comes with arresting these people and putting them there?
Yeah, Rice Street is a challenge. Rice Street is overcrowded, and it's tearing apart. It's literally falling apart in terms of its structure. The sheriff is over that. Fulton County Sheriff Labatt is over Rice Street. The city of Atlanta saw the inhumane conditions at Rice Street, where there was 3 people to a cell, and some people were in the hallways, and that's just not humane. So we allowed Fulton County to enter into an agreement with us for our ACDC, our Atlanta Corrections Department of Corrections, which Chief Yancey is over. So we gave them license to use 700 beds inside of ACDC, and they just have to staff them. So far, they've reached somewhere around 400 to 500 each day. They haven't reached the 700 due to staffing issues on the county's part. The Fulton County Sheriff is continuing to try to hire people for that. But that's our response, is to help, to relieve some pressure on that aging jail. That's Fulton County Jail, which is old, which was built for a county that has tripled in size since the construction of that. So the county leadership, the sheriff, and the citizens have to demand more in terms of an improved facility for Fulton County. The city right now is still in that engagement with Fulton County and offering and allowing them to use the space at ACDC. And we'll continue that, but we are aware of the DOJ concerns. These are our citizens, our residents of this community that are inside of Rice Street, and we want them to always have an experience that is humane, and that they're getting, they're also getting rehabilitation, that they are getting prepared to come back into society or to go on to prison. So these things require better court, better prosecution, et cetera, whatever the tools we need from all of government, the technology, people, staff. We need more judges, we need more prosecutors, we need more everything to be able to turn these cases faster, and we need better jail space at Fulton County. So, glad you asked that question. I want citizens to be aware. Madam DA?
Our mayor is so polite. He's such a Southern gentleman, right? Fulton County leadership, we need the Fulton County Commission to do their job. The reality is the sheriff cannot do his job, nor the district attorney hers, if it is not financed properly. We have known for years, and the sheriff has been begging for years. The jail is falling apart. The prisoners are using pieces of the jail to make shanks to hurt other prisoners. We know that. Atlanta has done their part. They gave us a facility. They've helped us in the way that they can. This is not on the mayor's shoulders. It's not on Atlanta Police Department shoulders. It sits on Commissioner Rob Pitt's shoulders. And we ought to demand that they have humane conditions. We ought to demand that the DA's office is financed in a way where we can properly prosecute crimes. And citizens ought to call and say, we don't want people to live in these inhumane conditions. And he gave it to you lightly. I've been a district attorney and a defense attorney. The jail is disgusting. If you go in there, people were sleeping in pods. The conditions should not be that way. You have one man manning 50 and 60 inmates. That cannot happen and people be safe. And so at some point, we have to put blame where blame lies. And where it lies is with Chairman Rob Pitts and those 6 commissioners that sit with him. And they have a duty that in 2 weeks, they need to issue a budget for our sheriff and for this district attorney's office that does the job.
You want to take another question after that? You want? At some point, Shad, it's time to. Yeah, code enforcement plays a vital role in crime reduction. Some of these properties housed that were, dilapidated properties, these apartments that's got burned out units or abandoned units. Some of the landlords were just absentee landlords, and vagrants were living in them. Drug operations were happening inside of some of these properties. Prostitution and other illicit acts were happening behind the raggedy doors of broken down units. And so we've come in very forcefully saying that you cannot treat residents that way. You have to provide quality, stable apartments or housing for individuals that you are collecting rents from. If you're collecting rents from Atlanta Housing or with a voucher program from HUD or any other entity, we are utilizing their laws and their codes to crack down on that. But the city of Atlanta has a focus on safe and secure neighborhoods, and we've been really pushing that agenda. As you've seen with Forest Cove, we will tear down your property if it's filled with asbestos and filled with crime and filled with rodents. That is happening. And so the carrots and the sticks are out there. And we have utilized the sticks pretty well enough that now landlords are getting it that I better take on the mayor's options of the carrots, which are some tax incentives, some help from to reconstruct your properties, some assistance in certain ways, because if you don't get your property cleaned up, we will come and demolish your property under our statutes. And that reduces crime. Thank you.